If you're planning to come to Bali, then keep on watching because today I'm going to share all the things that you need to know before coming to Bali, plus some insider tips. If you're new to my channel, hi guys, my name is Dian. I'm a digital nomad who's currently traveling throughout Southeast Asia, and right now I'm staying in Bali. I was actually born and raised here in Indonesia, so that's why I'm so excited to share some useful tips that's gonna be helpful for you guys who are planning to visit Bali. So let's discuss the first important thing when you're planning your trip to Bali, the visa requirement. As for now, there are 90 countries that are eligible for visa on arrival, so you can get your visa directly at the Ngurah Rai International Airport here in Bali. This type of visa will allow you to stay for 30 days and it's extendable for up to 60 days. For the price itself, it costs around 500,000 Indonesia rupiah or around 35 US dollars. But if you already know that you want to stay in Bali for up to 6 months, then I would highly recommend getting a B211A visa. Basically, with this type of visa, you will be able to stay in Indonesia for up to 6 months. So you need to get this type of visa before you landed in Indonesia. And it costs 3.5 million Indonesian rupiah. And you get to stay for 2 months, and then you get to extend it every 2 months here in Bali. For the extension itself, I believe it costs 2 million per 2 months. Although it allows you to stay in Indonesia for up to 6 months, you are not allowed to leave the country because once you leave the country, then you need to renew the visa. And for people who want to stay up to 2 years in Indonesia, then I would highly recommend getting a KITAS. This is basically a long-term visa here in Indonesia, and it costs around 8 million Indonesian rupiah. I will leave the link in the description box below where you can check your visa requirement to visit Indonesia. Now let's talk about the best time to visit Bali. In Indonesia, we have two different seasons, which is the wet season and the dry season. Most people come to Bali during the dry season where it doesn't rain a lot, but the temperature is also pretty high. So the dry season goes from April until October. The temperature ranges from 28 to 32 degrees Celsius. Even though it's a dry season, you do want to avoid coming to Bali during July or August because that's during the summer holiday, and usually around that time of the year, Bali is so packed. So the traffic is so bad and the cost of accommodation is also a lot higher. From November to March, it's the wet season here in Indonesia, but from my experience, it doesn't rain all day. Some days you do have the crazy weather when it's like thunderstorm and it's raining all day, but that's not the case most of the time. So you still can enjoy Bali during that time. Also during this time, the cost of accommodation is a lot lower because it's not the peak season. In Bali, people also celebrate Galungan, Kuningan, and Nyepi. Basically, that's the Balinese New Year. Nyepi is also known as the Day of Silence. So if you're planning your trip to Bali, you want to make sure you arrive before Nyepi because during Nyepi everything is closed, so no one is allowed to go outside and you have to turn off the light. So if you arrived in Bali during Nyepi, it's kind of tricky because you won't be able to order food or get anything delivered. I would say though, if you can visit before Nyepi or like couple days before Nyepi, where you can see and join the festivity of Galungan and Gulingan, that will be an amazing experience because during that day, Balinese people they go to the temple, they pray, they wear the traditional clothes. All the street is filled with traditional Balinese decorations. And the night before Nyepi, they usually have this parade called Ogoh Ogoh, where the local will create this scary statue and they will like parade it like through different part of the streets. All of the celebration follows the Balinese traditional calendar, so it changes throughout the year. But for example, this year in 2024, it was on March 11. The first thing you need to get when you arrived here in Bali is, of course, the SIM card. And I know like people always say like avoid getting SIM card at the airport because the price is marked up. But I understand like to get to your destination, sometimes you need Wi-Fi connection. One thing you want to pay attention to when getting your SIM card at the airport is you want to find a reliable SIM card where it's being registered using your passport information. There are some cases when the SIM card is being inactive just after a week of getting the SIM card, so you do want to pick a reliable places to get your SIM card. I would highly recommend using a provider like Telkomsel because they have a more reliable signal. Now let's talk about transportation here in Bali. In Indonesia, we use Grab and Gojek a lot. Those are the two main applications that we use here for transportation, food delivery, shopping, sending packages, or sometimes you can even buy medication. Of course, you can also rent your own bike here in Bali. That is the most convenient way to travel around here in Bali. But you do want to pay attention though because the traffic here can be a little bit intense. Also, the road here in Bali is a little bit more narrow. So it can be harder to drive around if you're not very familiar or comfortable with driving bike. For navigation, you can easily use Google Maps. This is the most common application we use here. Let's talk about the best area here to stay in Bali. One thing that I really love about Bali is it offers different type of lifestyle depending on where you're staying. The most popular area right now is obviously Canggu. So Canggu is like the digital nomad hub filled with cafe, co-working spaces, restaurants. Basically, it's the hotspot in Bali right now. This is also the area where most expat and digital nomads stays in Bali. Seminyak is the area where you want to go if you want to check out like more fancy restaurants or club, party places. So if you want to explore some nightlife, then Seminyak is the place to go. If you love surfing and you want to go to beautiful beaches, then I would highly recommend checking out Uluwatu. Uluwatu is the surfing spot and a lot of people now start moving to Uluwatu as well because now they start building villas, cafes, co-working spaces. So yeah, different options for digital nomad. And if you want to see the rice field and do yoga, a more peaceful and being close to nature, then you can check out Ubud. This is where the monkey forest, the famous Bali swing, and the Tegalalang rice terrace are. I do recommend exploring the different areas in person to find which area fits you the best. For accommodation in Bali, it's really convenient because Bali offers a lot of different type of accommodation. You can stay in a hotel, guest house, villa, Airbnb. Basically, Bali has all the options that you're looking for. When booking your accommodation, you want to use Airbnb or booking.com. These two I found give you the best values. Now let's talk about activities that you can do in Bali. Bali is still the best place that offer different range of activities. From sunset at the beach in Seminyak or Canggu, rice field walk in Pereranan, sunrise hike in Mount Batur, which I highly recommend. And you can also explore the surrounding island like Lombok, Gili Islands, Nusa Penida. Some of my favorite activities here in Bali are surfing in Canggu, the sunrise hike in Mount Batur, exploring the waterfalls. Basically, there's a lot of activities here in Bali. I stayed here for almost 2 years the last time I was here, and I feel like I barely scratched the surface of the activities to do here in Bali. Oh, and you also want to check out the water boom. And if you're traveling to Bali, you don't have to worry about the language barrier. Most of people here in Bali, they do speak English. Well, at least they understand the basic English, so day-to-day conversation shouldn't be a problem. Since Bali is a part of Indonesia, we do speak Bahasa Indonesia here in Bali, but also the local Balinese, they speak the Balinese dialect. It is slightly different from Bahasa. For example, in Bahasa Indonesia, we say terima kasih for thank you, and in Balinese, people say suksema. Also, in Bali, you will see a lot of canang. You'll see that a lot across the street, so make sure not to step on it because people put that in front of their house as the offerings for the god. Anyways, guys, those are the things you need to know before you come to Bali. I hope you find some useful information, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye!